Good evening, everybody. Today I want to talk to you about one of my favorite cult films. It's actually not a film, it was a TV movie. But I watched this a lot. It's really great. It's a kind of hard to describe. It's a horror, film noir, detective, comedy, romance, and it's Cast a Deadly Spell from 1991. It was produced by Gale Anne Hurd, who had just come off of producing Aliens, and it was made in England, actually. So it lists it's protected under British law. It says at the end of it. It's directed by Martin Campbell, who Gale Anne Hurd had worked with on Aliens, and that's why she hired him to direct. Written by Joseph Daugherty, and the script is fantastic. He did a really good job. To give an overview, it stars Fred Ward as the character H. Philip Lovecraft, who is a private detective. That's a joke. Howard Phillips Lovecraft was Lovecraft's full name. So it's H. Philip Lovecraft. It's not Phillips. Clancy Brown plays his former friend, and he's now a nightclub owner, sort of an Eddie Mars type character called Harry Borden. That's Bordon. David Warner plays Amos Hackshaw, a millionaire. Charles Hallaran plays Detective Bradbury, who is Lovecraft's former chief. He worked for the police department, but he quit and became a private detective. Alexandra Powers plays Hackshaw's daughter, Olivia, who is a unicorn hunter and therefore a virgin, because only female virgins can hunt unicorns. Raymond O'Connor plays this thug character called Tugwell. He's really good. He's very funny in that role as Tugwell. And scary, too. He's a very creepy character. Peter Allis plays Detective Otto Grimaldi, who has a very pivotal role, which I'll tell you about later. Arnita Walker plays Hippolyta Kropotkin, who is a licensed witch who lives next to Lovecraft rents space from her, actually, I should say. Lee Turgeson plays a character called Larry Willis, and also his transgendered opposite, Lily Sirwar. He's become a male to female transgender. And of course, the very gorgeous, this film stars Julianne Moore at her most beautiful, which is saying a lot, and I am a big fan of Julianne Moore. I think she is drop-dead gorgeous. She was then, and she still is today, in my opinion. One of the best-looking redheads out there, and fantastic actress. There's a funny a gargoyle who is played by Michael Reed Mackey, and a couple of additional characters. There's a character called Thaddeus Pilgrim, who is Hippolyta Kropotkin's cousin, apparently, and he is played by David Dowling. And there's a girl just listed as Drop Dead Babe, and I think she's the girl who's taking photographs in the nightclub. I thought, when I looked at her, I thought, that's Katie Sackhoff. And then I realized, no, it can't be Katie Sackhoff. She wasn't old. She was like 5 when this movie was made, so it's not her. But her name is Becky Mullen. Wanted to mention, because this is so good, the art direction was done by Nelson Coates, and the set decorations, which were fantastic, were done by Julianne Gilstead. They obviously had some fun in doing the credits for this movie. They listed a unicorn wrangler. It says Hollywood Animals Unicorn Wrangler. I thought that was very funny. It takes place in Los Angeles in 1948, and it's an alternate Los Angeles. Everybody uses magic, except Lovecraft. He refuses to use magic. As a result, he's kind of poor, and he's lives in a rundown apartment, and he's not having a very good life. Lovecraft is hired by Hackshaw, by the David Warner character, to find the initial scene is it opens up with a book being delivered to this guy, Harry Borden, by a guy called Mickey, and I wrote down the actor who played him too, and I don't remember it here. Ken Thorley played Mickey Lockstetter, and he's delivering a book to Hackshaw and to Tugwell and the zombie who works for him. It's just this like 6 foot tall or 7 foot tall black guy with blue eyes who just looks dead, and that's all he does is stand around and look dead. He's the muscle character for Borden, and they say, don't they smell after three months? Well, you just get a new one. You buy them down in the West Indies, $3 a piece, 6 to a pack. And Tugwell says, like bonbons, and Borden hits him. But that's what he's saying. And he delivers this book to them, and they say thank you, and they pay him off. And Tugwell says, I think I'll go get some air. And he and the zombie follow Lockstetter out of the club, which is called the Dunwich Room, which, again, that's a reference to Lovecraft's story, the Dunwich Horror. He opens the book, Borden opens the book, and it's a fake. It's got a real cover, the pages are all blank. And he doesn't have to send Tugwell to get the guy, because he's already gone after Mickey. He figured he'd try to pull a fast one. And he kills him in a rather gruesome way that they paid him with money, with paper. He opens the thing, he says, I'll give you the money. He opens it, there's no money in it, it's just paper. But Tugwell does this thing where he just whirls his finger around, and all of a sudden all these pieces of paper start whirling around really fast, and they literally cut Mickey to death. It's the literal death of 1,000 cuts. And he bleeds to death from the cuts, that's what happens when you cross Borden. But the next day he is hired, Lovecraft is hired by Hackshaw. He wants him to recover a book, and he meets his daughter, who is hunting a unicorn on the lawn, and he says, too bad you have all that smoke and not a lick of fire to back it up. He says, what do you mean? He says, only virgins can hunt unicorns. She slaps him in the face. He meets with Hackshaw and asks him, what do you want? Tells him, I want you to go find this book for me, and I don't know what happened to it. I was paid a lot of money for it, and then the people who were supposed to bring it to me disappeared. Meanwhile, we've seen that Lily has the real Necronomicon. It was hidden in a locker at the Union Station in Los Angeles. She recovered it, and so now she has it, but neither Lovecraft nor Borden know that, and they have to figure out what's going on. I'm not going to give you the entire plot, but some things continue. There's a kind of a funny scene where this is incidental character, but Lovecraft is looking for any information he can find on Lockstetter and Lily, and they both disappeared. He goes to Larry Willis's former apartment. He hasn't figured this twist out yet, but he's trying to find out, did he go anywhere? Did he do anything? The landlord says no, he never went out, but I would have seen it. I'm here all the time. He's got these little gremlins that have snuck into his vehicle. After World War II, he said they came over from the Pacific. It was really funny because they're obviously the creatures that are done. They're very good prosthetic creatures. They're made to look like the gremlins in the movie Gremlins. And they don't speak, but they're doing the same kind of thing. They're really funny. These guys trying to kill him, and he can never hit them right. Very, very funny sequence, and they're making fun of that movie. Then he does, one of the gremlins, he takes a shotgun and he shoots at it, blasts through the wall, and inside the wall there's a card with a photograph from the Dunwich Room that says, Larry and Lily love forever. And it has a photograph of them together. And now he starts piecing things together, and he tries to find out where... Oh, he goes to... Olivia has come out of the house, which she's not supposed to do. She was kept under close watch by her father. There's a funny line, I forgot, I got to go back here. Hackshaw asks Lovecraft how much he costs to hire him, and he says, $40 a day plus a little gas and expenses. And he looks at it, he's been feeding his fish. He says, you probably pay more to feed goldfish to your squid. He looks at it and he says very seriously, it is not a squid. Well, you never find out what it is. What was it if it's not a squid? It's something that looks vaguely like a squid. I think that's meant to be some sort of a Lovecraftian creature of some sort. But I thought that was an interesting line. Anyway, he and Olivia shows up in town and is inspecting his office and all that stuff. She says, I want to apologize for having slapped you. Says, would you like to go out for breakfast? And takes her to this place called the Owl Wagon. And it's a diner, kind of a cheap diner, and they go in there and they're having breakfast. She says, this is fantastic, I've never had anything like this. She says, you don't eat like that? She says, no, not at, in my father's house, we certainly don't. And while he's eating, a guy tries to slip him some runes. And that's a reference to the movie Night of the Demon with Dana Andrews, which is a really good movie. You haven't seen it. It's black and white, but it's really good. And anyway, he manages to evade. He's trying to find out who passed through his Tugwell, who drew the runes on a piece of paper and left them for the waiter. And what he does is he brings it over with their check, and it's on the back of the check. As in the movie Night of the Demon, you have to pass the runes or else the demon will attack you. It'll attack whoever is holding the runes. And he knows it's the chef, so he goes back into the room and he's holding it against him. He says, no, let me go, please. And it knocks him apart, and one of the sous chefs picks up the runes and says, no, let it go, drop it. And it's too late. This demon emerges from, they call it the oatmeal demon, because it emerges from a pot of oatmeal. And it looks basically like a demented cattle skull. And it's got a small body attached to it. And it goes out, and because he's now holding the runes, it attacks the chef and kills him. And they knock it into the freezer, the sous chef and him, and freeze it to death. Then they leave. Meanwhile, Olivia's been drawn down to the police station. She's finding it exciting again because she's never been in a police station. You see typewriters typing reports by themselves because, again, police are supposed to use magic. And there's a funny scene where the Bradshaw's interrogating a werewolf, and she's going, woo! That's kind of a silly scene. And he says, put him in a cell with silver bars so he can't get out. And then he's talking to Bradbury's talking to Lovecraft. He wants to find out what's going on with the case. He says, I can't tell you. I'm representing my client. And they're giving him the third degree and all that. And eventually, he and Olivia both have to leave. And she's started to form an attachment for this character, Lieutenant Grimaldi, and is sort of being very flirtatious with him. And that has some consequences that come up later. Now that somebody's tried to kill him, Connie shows back. The character played by Julianne Moore was with Lovecraft and left him after a time because he didn't make enough money, and she wanted to go places, and she ended up with Borden. She shows back up and basically seduces him and is trying to convince him that she's on his side again. He doesn't quite buy it, but he's going along. He sleeps with her, and then they make out a couple of times. And it turns out she knows a little bit about Lockstetter, so she tells him what she knows. He goes up to this place called Vista Bonita, which is a new housing development in the hills somewhere of Los Angeles. And there's something, here's again the kind of attention to detail that was paid in this movie, that I noticed that the map that they were using to get to Vista Bonita was a Thomas Popular Atlas, and those later became known as Thomas's Guides, and that is accurate to 1948, that book. I looked at the cover, I looked at what it said on it. That's a very accurate map. I thought somebody's paying attention here. So the detail in this is just lush. At one point you see that Lovecraft was wearing a Hamilton watch, and again, that's an accurate kind of watch that people would have been wearing. They didn't wear Rolexes and things back in 1948. They would have had, if you wanted a watch that an ordinary guy could afford, it would have been a Hamilton watch, not a Rolex, and that I thought was a good bit of detail in there. Connie, like I said, has come back. She tells him that she knows Mickey Lockstetter, and when he's talking to the owner of this place, Vista Bonita, is trying to get some information out of her. She reveals that Lockstetter owns Vista Bonita, which is the first development developed by entirely by magic. And that in itself is a little bit of a clue there, too. And then she asks about his quote-unquote sister, Lily, and they find out that what her address is now, and she's at a place called the Ashcroft Hotel. He uses Julianne Moore to set up, because she knows Lily, to set up a meeting with Lily there, and instead he has Connie stay in the bar, and he meets with Lily up in her room and starts saying, where's the book? And she says, what do you mean? He says, I know about the book, where's the book? And she shows him the real book and tells him the story about, how she and Larry Gillis met. There's a line in here that's a little cringy when I hear it now, but he asks her where they met, and she says, we met at a party. He says, a fag party? She says, no, Knights of Columbus, what do you think? And although I didn't like that line, because it would have been an accurate term that somebody would have used back then, given the way people thought back then. But again, they get to the room and they're talking about what happened in their relationship, and they wanted to go away, and that she was hired to. She spied on Hakshaw as she pretended to be his chauffeur, and she was, went back into a male persona, and just to get information. And the information that she got was about the Necronomicon, that there was a real copy, and then there was a fake copy that Hakshaw had made for the insurance company. In case he ever lost it, he would turn in the fake book and claim that it was the real one. So she tells him where the real book is, or he finds it. He goes through her luggage and suitcase and finds it. And then a demon which has been following them. It's the gargoyle that I mentioned that can fly. Comes into the room and threatens them, kills Larry/Lee by pulling her heart out, and then is chased off by some of the other. Connie comes into the room and it gets kind of freaked out and it gets confused. They managed to chase it off, and some of Borden's guys. Connie takes him back to her place to think, and of course Borden is there with the Tugwell and the zombie. It's all a setup, and he reveals that Connie had called him from the hotel to tell him what was going on, and he really just wanted the book. So he's been double-crossed, by Connie, which you get the feeling that he kind of twigged that was going to happen earlier on. And it's done, again, it's done well, and then he ends up in the car, and he's with Borden and Connie, and he's handcuffed, and they say, what are you going to do, sacrifice me? And I said, no, not you, the virgin. And they're going to sacrifice Olivia too. They're going to summon one of the great old ones, Cthulhu or Yog-Sothoth, or one of their minions, and Sathakbua, someone like that. And they use the Necronomicon, or Hakshaw uses the Necronomicon. And Borden is going to be made, the king of the world, he thinks, when all this takes place. And instead, Connie shoots him and kills him. But she wants to be the head of the world. She doesn't want him to have all the glory, just because he was a male. And she never trusted him anyway. And then you see Hakshaw takes Olivia, who's now tied up, and offers to sacrifice it to this old one. And it starts, and it just touches her, and it rejects her, throws her down, and grabs Hakshaw instead. He's going, Lovecraft, help, don't let me go. And it's pulling him in towards this sort of alien-like mouth that it has. It has teeth, all fang-lined around it. The special effects was pretty good. It's not terrific, but it was really a very good prop. I thought all the props and the special effects were very good in this movie. And or TV special, I should say. And it pulls him in and eats him, basically, because it lied to him. And you find out what happened, why it rejected her. Because Officer Grimaldi was knocked out and he's tied up and he's in the back of Hakshaw's car, and he unties her and they run and embrace. Lover says, "Oh my God, you lucky bastard! You realize you saved the whole world? All you had to do was sleep with a 16-year-old virgin, and you saved the whole world because it wouldn't accept the sacrifice because she wasn't a virgin, and now they can't do it again for 666 years." So he literally saved the world with the world's luckiest lay, I think he calls it, and really good. Again, done in a very, very tongue-in-cheek style, but even like the dialogue and stuff is very authentic to film noir. And if you're an aficionado of noir like me, you got a lot of the little in-jokes. There were some references to The Big Sleep and references to things that happened in The Maltese Falcon and other classic noirs. And of course, Connie Willis's character, or Julianne Moore's character, Connie, was basically every film noir femme fatale, particularly a tribute to Ava Gardner in The Killers, which I think was a very good role, where the girl basically turns on the guy who's supposed to be her partner in the end. Very good. I highly recommend it. Again, there was a sequel I should mention called Witch Hunt, which was done, I believe, in 1993 or 1994. Not as good. It starred Dennis Hopper as H. Philip Lovecraft, and it also starred Penelope Ann Miller and Eric Bogosian, and it was basically a parody of the Red Scare of the 1950s. Only instead of Reds, communists, now it's magic that they're going after, and they're going to sacrifice Mrs. Kropotkin, and Lovecraft have to save her. Plot's a little weak. The acting wasn't quite as good. It was still fairly decent, but I can't recommend it as highly as I recommend Cast of Deadly Spell.